When you have a budding roster of characters like that in Valorant, you need to plant a few seeds if you want the meta of the game to develop and grow. For this season, the seed in question is an absolute natural on the battlefield, and her name is Skye. A seeming friend of Sage from the character trailer, she is a guardian of the wild, so to speak. As such, she looks over her homeland with the intent of protecting it from being destroyed. So she's attuned and concerned for nature. Kinda makes her more like a combat-savvy Pocahontas. That being said, we don't know much about this character's backstory, not that it'll matter too much for this video. Today we're going to be running down all the optimal tips and tricks that will help you rank up when you choose this new champion. I'm Dylan J. Fox, and make sure to give us a subscribe if you never want to miss out on any of our top gamer guides. First off, she, like our other characters, has access to 4 abilities, those being called Guiding Light, Trailblazer, Regrowth, and Seekers. Each ability is a valuable asset to this character's toolbox, allowing for her to be a versatile member of any team. To put it briefly, we're getting this character with the Flash of Phoenix, a potentially better heal than Sage, that also has access to 2 information abilities that are up there with Cypher. If I'm honest, when I look at these stats, there's practically nothing else that we could ask for. She's got so much going for her, and with that being said, let me go more in depth with each ability. Let's start out by talking about Guiding Light, which is essentially the small bird we see in the trailers. However, this birdie packs a punch if you use it correctly. Acting similarly to Phoenix's Flash, all you need to do is hold left click and direct the bird wherever you want to go before flashing on sight to blind your enemies. However, you can also send out this flash vertically, as we see when she tosses it through the window near B site on ascent. This of course opens up loads of lines for you to take when approaching sites, and considering it's her main ability, you'll have access to it every single round. Based on the trailer, it looks to last about 3 seconds, which is more than enough time for your teammates to peek on site before moving in to take over. The only drawbacks that I can see that the bird itself looks a little slow on turns, making it harder to take around corners than Phoenix's flashes. That being said, I'm sure we'll find workarounds for this as she's released and when we actually get to play as her. The big selling point for me is that her flash is her standard ability, which is incredibly valuable in taking sites, especially on early rounds of the game such as both pistol rounds. If used correctly, I'd imagine this can even be used to take sight on a save round, which is of course a massive swing in an eco-based game like Valorant. Next up, we have her ability Trailblazer, which while having a sick name is also incredibly valuable for its low price tag of 200 credits. It can easily be used to gain information on the enemy as well as a means to take control of a site. Calling it as your first viable ability means you'll have to use left click or fire to deploy it, and from there you take control of this Tasmanian tiger as you seek out enemy locations. This can be incredibly useful for scouting, much like Phoenix's ultimate ability, but you're of course not going to be gunning down opposition as this tiger. However, that isn't to say that this guy doesn't have offensive prowess as well, considering if you were to find an enemy and then hold left click, it would jump at your opponent and then explode with a concussion blast. I'd imagine from how it's presented in the trailer, you'll need to get right up on your opponent for it to hit, but it does seem like this tiger can take a few shots, so you should have no trouble getting in there once you spot an enemy. Speaking of issues, the only issue I can see is in spotting the enemy, as when you're in that form, you have a limited vision radius as shown from the gameplay trailer. It's also unclear as to how long the concussion effect lasts, so we'll have to wait and see, but my guess would only be a few seconds. All in all, it's a powerful ability which will let you gain intel on where your opponents are rotating or where they're sitting on site on the offensive side. However, on the defensive side, it's going to allow for quick rotations as you check down a route with it, rather than peeking as a normal champion would. I'd imagine people will be using this more as a precise version of Raze's Boombot on defense. For the last of Skye's non-ultimate abilities, we have Regrowth, which costs 200 credits each and is arguably her strongest asset to the team as a whole. The reason being is simple, as she's the second character in the game to have a healing ability that doesn't affect just her. Activated by pressing your second ability key, this has Skye channel the power of nature to heal herself and all within the range of the area of effect, which is massive by the way. With Sage already being an incredibly high-picked agent for her heal alone, this ability has an opportunity to really shake Valorant up as a whole. Realistically, right, let's say you do all the things I listed previously with the Guiding Light and Trailblazer. Your team takes a few hits, but you gain the sight and it's a 5v3. You're already at a massive advantage by this point, but by taking a moment to use this heal on your team while you've taken sight already, it presses that advantage that much more. Your opponents may realize that you're likely doing this and even rush on their rotates, causing them to make mistakes as they hastily try to make it over to defuse the bomb. It has such awesome upside as an ability that it's hard to imagine any team not running her. The only thing that can throw a wrench in this is the fact that we're unsure of how much or how long it heals. That being said though, every hit point counts in a game like Valorant, where if you can out-aim your opponent by one shot, that can be the deciding factor in a whole round. Finally, we have her ultimate ability, which is very fitting with her being attuned with nature, as it's her calling on the wilds to seek out the enemy. Known by the name Seekers, these guys do exactly that by spawning one for each member of the opposing team before tracking them all down. If you play Valorant a lot, you'll know how pivotal information is when looking to turn the tides of any given game. That being said, you can easily imagine why this ultimate is going to be a force to reckon with. It's very similar to the Cypher ultimate in regards to the fact that it's meant to tell you where your opposition is coming from, however there are a few key differences between these ults. Firstly, Cypher shows you where everyone is immediately, whereas for Skye's ult, you're going to have to wait a few moments to get an idea where they're coming from. This of course makes her ult a bit worse when you need the info at a crucial moment. However, the other key difference is that her ult costs 6 points where Cypher's costs 7. It may only be a difference of 1, but that 1 could be the difference in winning a round, a game, or in some cases, even a whole series. If we look at it statistically, you're likely to get more ultimates per game, and while I don't think she's necessarily got a better ult, it is definitely worth mentioning the massive advantage that an info ult gives you, especially when you get to use it as frequently as this one. I can see this being huge on offense after taking a site, or on defense if the attackers are opting for a slow push. By seeking out the opponents like this, you're leaving less room for error on your team's part by simply ensuring that your information is correct, allowing them to rotate properly. Pretty much all I'm trying to say is that Seekers are sick, as are all information ultimates, and look like they're going to be a heavily used ult going forward in competitive play. So those are all her abilities, and frankly, Skye is shaping up to be the strongest new addition to the roster since release. Her mix of utility and healing looks extremely powerful, and I genuinely won't be surprised when I see her as a part of every team composition in my matches once she drops. Like I've said across the video, her strongest points for sure are going to be on offense as she takes site and presses advantage with her heals and utility. Once the site is locked down with her alive, it's going to be incredibly hard to take back regardless of if she has ult up or not. So my ultimate tip for anyone looking to run this character would be to play hard to your advantage and use your utility to its fullest. And of course, once your bomb's planted and your team is stacked on site, be sure to continue pressing the advantage until the very end of the round. Arguably the best thing about her overall is her versatility, which makes her a fine to phenomenal pick for just about any team. She shares abilities that are similar to already popular picks in the meta, and that fact alone means she can be used either in conjunction or in place of them. Imagine having 2 back-to-back rounds with Cypher ult and Skye ult to just lock down 2 free rounds with info. Oh man, just thinking about it makes me want to boot up for a few matches. Doing so will get you plenty of easy dubs to rank your way up in Valorant. I don't know about you guys, but things like this always get me super excited when we have an awesome new character about to release. It's going to shake up the meta for sure. I'm really excited for Skye. I want to play as her right now, but sadly we'll have to wait till the 28th when she's released. So that's how you play the new character Skye. Like I've said before, she's bound to make a massive impact on the meta of this game with all the sweet abilities she brings to the table. And if you employ the strats I've discussed in this video, I'm sure you'll be rocking your way up to the Valorant rank and beyond. For sure, let me know what you think of this character in the comments down below, or if you have any sick new strats you want to try out once she's released. Be sure to drop a like on this video as it helps the channel out a bunch. Also feel free to check out our website topgamerguides.com for some more sick guides and tutorials. This has been Dylan, and I hope to see you again sometime for the next Top Gamer Guide.